share an incredible amount of information about ourselves online. A recent study showed that 90% of us post information about our personal or professional lives online, and that over half of us have public accounts that anyone with an internet connection can see. Nearly half of us say that we post to social media every single day, and almost 3/4 of us say that we have shared 5 or more videos online, with some of us sharing many, many more than that. But what if I told you that sharing a brief video like the one that you see on the screen right now could be enough for someone to pinpoint your precise location? Guys, I'm Jose Monkey, and I am an online privacy and safety advocate. And several years ago, I noticed something. At the time, my friends and family were just starting to get on social media for the first time in a really big way, and they started to share things more than they ever had before. And they would share photos and later videos. And sometimes when they would share a photo from someplace they had been, they wouldn't necessarily say where they had taken the photo. And sometimes I'd look at a photo like that and say, I wonder where they were when they took that. And then I had a different thought. I said, I wonder if I could figure out where they were. And so just for fun, a couple times, I tried it, just by looking at the little details I saw in the background of their photos or videos. I tried to figure out, like, where were they when they took that? And I was surprised to find that I often could figure it out. And when I did that, I realized 2 things. First, I really liked doing this. It was like solving a really interesting puzzle, and it scratched an itch I didn't even know I had. But the second thing I realized is that this represented a risk to my friend's privacy. Because if you could post a photo or video and someone on the internet could look at that and know exactly where you were, that seems like something you'd want to know. Now, I didn't know what to do with this information at the time. I tried to warn my friends and family to be safe about what they shared. But guys, my reach only extended so far. So a couple years ago, I had another idea. And that's when I started posting videos on TikTok to try to raise awareness about some of these risks. And that's when people first started hearing me say, "Hi, I'm Jose Monkey, and I find people who ask to be found." OK, so what the heck does that mean? I ask people to send me videos of themselves from all around the world, and I will try to figure out, based on what I see in those videos, where they were when they recorded them. Now, I had no idea if there would be any kind of audience for that type of content, but much to my surprise, it kind of took off. And to date, I have found people in over 500 different places around the world in more than 50 countries. Now, we're having a lot of fun playing this silly little game that I made up, but I hope that I am raising awareness for people about some of the risks of sharing too much online. But videos are not the only way that we end up sharing our information. In fact, sometimes it's much simpler than that. Most of our information ends up getting shared in a few key ways, either through direct sharing, implicit revealing, or through third-party disclosures. Now, direct sharing is what most people would think of when you talk about sharing things online. These are the things that you willingly choose to post. Anything that you say, or pictures that you share, even the profile picture or username that you select for yourself. This is kind of the simplest category and the easiest to control. But there are other things that can be learned about you by observing your online behavior. Well, what kind of behavior? The things that you like, the things that you comment on, the people that you are friends with, or the accounts that you follow. Those behaviors can tell me things about you, like what your favorite sports teams are, or what TV shows you watch, or what musical artists you enjoy. But sometimes it can tell me other things. Let's say that you have a small business that you want to support, and you learn that they have an Instagram page. So you decide to go follow their Instagram page, and when they post things, you like them and comment on them. That is a normal thing that any one of us would do. But here's the thing. If it's truly a small business, chances are the only people who are doing that are people who live in your neighborhood. So maybe you haven't told me where you live, but you kind of did. But sometimes people can learn things about us without us doing anything. Third-party disclosures are when someone else reveals information about you online. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of malicious doxing that happens when someone intentionally reveals your personal information. I'm talking about the kind of thing that happens among friends every day. This could be as simple as somebody posting a photo and tagging you in that photo, telling everyone that you were there with them. Or perhaps you post something, and when you do, a friend comments on it, and when they do, they address you by name. But maybe you don't use that name on that platform. Third-party disclosures are often harmless, but they can reveal more than you might think. Say you're a high school student, and a friend sees a TikTok video, and they comment on it and tag you, and they say, "This person reminds me of that kid in our chemistry class." Now, if your friend is in the same chemistry class as you, I can assume that you go to the same school. Now, maybe you've never said where you go to school, but are you sure your friend hasn't? Because maybe just last week, your friend shared videos from the high school homecoming ceremony. And if I know where they go to school, I know where you go to school. And I know all of that, not because of anything you said or did. Third-party disclosures are the toughest to control, but try to remember that to someone else, you are the third party. So be careful with your friend's information. One other example I'll give you, how many of you guys know Khan, not Khan Jr.? She's the person who finds people's birthdays on TikTok from their social media posts. One of the ways that Khan is so effective is that she uses third-party disclosures to find your birthday, because there's always somebody wishing you a happy birthday on your timeline. It's like your mom saying, "Happy 28th birthday to my handsome son." Right? Third-party disclosure. All the things I'm talking about are just little bits and pieces of information about you. But the thing to keep in mind is that your digital footprint is bigger than any one post, any one site, any one app. And when you take all of it together, it represents a body of information about you. Now, you're probably only thinking about the social media accounts that you currently actively use. But if you have other accounts and you haven't deleted them, they're still out there. So that Pinterest board you set up 8 years ago and haven't looked at since, still there. That Twitter account you don't even use anymore is still there, waiting for somebody to find it and find your information. Let's say you have a TikTok account where you share videos of yourself. And you also have an Instagram account where you mostly post food pictures, but you happen to use your real name on that account. And finally, you've got that Twitter account that you still haven't deleted yet, but at some point, a few years back, you posted a few things that revealed where you live. Now, these 3 pieces of information, what you look like, what your name is, and where you live, each represent a risk to your privacy. But taken together, they represent a significant risk. And all it took was for someone to connect the dots and say that this account is this person. And that is a powerful concept. Now, you might be wondering, well, but isn't that kind of hard to do for somebody to connect the dots like that? But another question you should maybe ask yourself is, are you connecting the dots for them? How many people use the same username or some variation of it on different social media platforms? Or maybe you're using the same profile picture across different accounts. Are you linking to your other socials in your bio or using something like Linktree to hook them all together? There are valid reasons to do all of these things, especially if you're a content creator or a small business. But if you're doing it, you should know why you're doing it and be comfortable with the connections that you're making. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't do any of that stuff. I'm super careful. I don't share a lot of information. But I do post short videos from time to time. How much can one brief video reveal? I'm going to show you a video right now. It's the video that we saw earlier. And this is a video that someone recorded so that I could figure out where they were when they recorded it. And that's it. Now, you might look at that and say, well, no one could possibly figure out where that was. It was just a few seconds, 8 seconds of video, I think. But what if I told you that I was able to figure out exactly where that was, and it didn't even take me very long? So what can we see? The first thing that I noticed in this video is that we have a fast food restaurant very close to where the person is. This is a popular chain of fast food restaurants that features drive-up ordering. There was another business nearby, and even though we can't see the name of the business, I think most people would recognize this partially obscured sign as the indoor lumberyard entrance to a popular hardware store. Midway through the video, we also saw a car drive through. Now, it was only on screen for a few frames, but we're able to see that the car had a Pennsylvania license plate. That tells us that the car is probably, though not definitely, in Pennsylvania, because cars move. And finally, off to the left of the hardware store, we can see that there's a cellular tower. These 4 pieces of information may not seem like much, but to someone who knows how to use this information, that is more than enough to find this place. Close to each other is significant, because even though both of the businesses that we looked at are large national chains that have hundreds, probably thousands of locations all over the country, the fact that they're so close together in this particular case narrows down the places that it could possibly be, because that doesn't happen everywhere. And if you couple that with the idea that this is probably in Pennsylvania, based on the license plate that we saw, that narrows it down even further. Because when I looked in the OpenStreetMap database, I only found 4 places where I had those 2 businesses in such close proximity. But we can do better, because we also had the cellular tower. And if you further narrow those results to show only the places where you have those 2 businesses and a cellular tower very close nearby, there's only one place this person could possibly have been. And guys, that was it. This person was in Exeter, Pennsylvania. What you're seeing on screen right now is a Google Street View photo that was taken very close to the point where the person was standing when they recorded that video. And if we overlay a frame from the video, you can see that it is, in fact, an exact match. This is where they were. That's kind of scary, right? So what do we do? Do we stop sharing things online? That's one answer. But if you want to continue sharing things online, I think that it behooves you to be mindful about the risks and the trade-offs. And to that end, I'm going to give you some tips, 2 do's and 2 don'ts for sharing videos online. The first tip, don't post videos outside of where you live or work. That way, at least if somebody figures out where you were when you recorded the video, it will not lead them back to your house or your place of business. Do stay in one place. If you move your camera around, the more you move it, the more things you're going to show. And the more things you show, the more information you're going to reveal. Whenever possible, I recommend moving the camera as little as possible. And if you can, put your camera on a tripod, point it at a blank wall, and sit or stand in front of that. That's what I do. Don't post anything with writing on it. I know this sounds crazy, but we live in an information-dense society. There are signs and billboards and license plates and bumper stickers and all sorts of things with information all around you all the time, and you don't even notice them. And all of those things can give information about where you are. This goes for videos recorded indoors as well. I have seen people share videos where they were in their living room and there was a package behind them that had a clearly visible address label. These cameras are good, guys. Also, watch out for anything that's on your clothing or accessories. I have found people from things on their t-shirts, hats, name tags, ID badges. I once found someone in Illinois because they were holding a very small dog that had a rabies vaccination tag, and I zoomed in on it and figured out what county it said it was in. People don't think about this stuff. Finally, do review your videos before you share them. Of course, you should take a pass and look at the video and make sure it's showing all the things that you want to show. But take another pass and make sure it's not showing all these other things that you don't want to show. It's worth your time. We live in an interconnected and complex world, but embracing that complexity can open up endless opportunities and new experiences. But we also need to be mindful of the connections that we're creating and what they mean to us and those around us.